chosen one. God sent this for you. Watch immediately." In the crowded, dust-filled streets of a forgotten coastal town lived a man named Elias. He was 34, but the weight of his years made him look closer to 60. His hands were calloused from years of hauling fishing nets that never seemed to hold enough catch to pay the bills. His wife had left 5 winters ago, taking their only daughter with her to a city where lights never dimmed and promises felt real. Elias stayed behind because the sea was the only thing that still spoke to him, even if its voice was mostly silence these days. Every morning he rose before dawn, whispered a half-hearted prayer to a God he wasn't sure still listened, and walked to the pier. The other fishermen avoided his eyes. They called him the quiet one behind his back, but the truth was simpler. They pitied him. Elias had once been the best among them, strong, quick, blessed with an uncanny sense for where the fish hid. Now he returned with empty baskets more often than not. The village whispered that his luck had dried up the same day his family sailed away. One gray afternoon, after yet another fruitless day, Elias sat alone on the rocks at the edge of the harbor. The waves crashed like accusations. He pulled a small, weathered notebook from his coat, the one place he still allowed himself to dream. Inside were scribbled lines he never showed anyone. "If I am forgotten, let me at least be useful. If I am broken, let the pieces still catch light. If I am nothing, God, then why does my heart still ache for more?" He closed the book and stared at the horizon until tears blurred it. That night, sleep refused him. Around 3 in the morning, when the world felt heaviest, something shifted inside his chest, like a door creaking open after years of rust. He sat up in the dark shack. No voice spoke, no angel appeared, but the certainty came anyway, sharp and undeniable. This moment is not random. I have sent it to you. Watch, listen, now. Elias laughed bitterly at first, out loud, alone. Watch what? My empty nets? My empty house? But the feeling wouldn't leave. It pressed against his ribs like a second heartbeat. The next morning, he did something he hadn't done in years. He walked past the pier, past the boats, past the market, and kept going until he reached the old lighthouse at the cliff's edge. No one tended it anymore. The bulb had burned out a decade ago, and the town had decided the sea didn't need guiding anymore. Elias climbed the spiral stairs anyway, each step echoing like a question he'd never dared ask. At the top, wind tore at his clothes. He stood at the cracked window and looked down at the town that had slowly erased him. And then he saw it. Far below, near the breakwater, a small boat had capsized. 2 children, maybe 8 and 10, clung to the hull, screaming. The current was dragging them toward the jagged rocks. The fishermen on shore were shouting, running for ropes, but the tide was too fast. No one could reach them in time. Elias didn't think, he ran. He sprinted down the stairs, across the sand, and dove into the freezing water without hesitation. The sea fought him, cold claws, swirling undertow, but something fiercer burned inside him now. He reached the children, wrapped one arm around each, and kicked against the current with every ounce of strength he had left. Wave after wave slammed into them. His lungs screamed, his vision darkened, but he didn't let go. When the fishermen finally pulled them onto the pier, Elias collapsed, coughing seawater, arms still locked around the shivering children. Their mother rushed forward, sobbing thanks into his soaked shirt. The whole town gathered. For the first time in years, eyes looked at Elias not with pity, but with awe. That night, the elder came to his shack. He carried a lantern and an old brass key. "The lighthouse," the elder said quietly. "We've decided to light it again, and we want you to tend it." Elias stared at the key in disbelief. "Me? I can't even feed myself most days." The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. "Today, you fed hope to an entire village. That's more than fish ever could." Word spread. Boats started coming back fuller, not because the sea had changed, but because Elias began teaching the younger fishermen the old ways he'd almost forgotten. Reading currents, listening to wind shifts, trusting the deep silence between waves. He shared everything he knew without asking for credit. Slowly, the village thrived again. Months passed. One evening, as Elias lit the great lamp at the top of the tower, he looked out and saw something he hadn't seen in years. His daughter's name written in the guest book at the pier's small cafe. She had come back. Not to stay forever, she said, but to see the man the whole coast now spoke of, the quiet one who had become the light when no one else could. They sat together on the lighthouse steps that night, watching the beams sweep across the black water. "I thought God forgot me," Elias whispered. His daughter took his hand. "He didn't forget. He was waiting for the moment you would remember who you really are." Elias looked up at the stars, tears tracing silent paths down his weathered face. The light turned once more, steady, faithful, cutting through the dark like a promise kept. And in that sweep of brightness, Elias finally understood. He had not been abandoned, he had been prepared. Through every empty net, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, God had been forging something unbreakable inside him. Not for glory, not for fame, but for the exact moment when two children would need a father's arms more than anything else in the world. The message had always been there, whispered in the wind, written in the waves, hidden in the ache. "Chosen one, this is for you. Watch, the time is now." And Elias watched. He watched the light go out across the sea. He watched his daughter smile. He watched the village heal. And for the first time in decades, he watched himself, not as a broken man, but one hand-picked, refined by fire, and sent back into the storm, not to drown, but to save. So if this story has found you tonight, if your heart is heavy, your nets empty, your hope threadbare, hear it clearly. This moment is not random. God sent this for you. Watch immediately. Because the one who sees every tear in secret is about to turn your silence into a signal fire, and the world that once overlooked you will soon be guided by the light you never knew you carried. You are chosen, and the best part of your story is only just beginning. The weight of the waves. In the shadow of jagged cliffs that guarded the forgotten coastal town of Eldridge Bay, Elias Hawthorne had carved out a life as unremarkable as the weathered driftwood that washed ashore each tide. At 34, his face bore the etchings of a man twice his age, deep furrows from squinting against the relentless sun, and eyes that held the dull gray of storm clouds long after the skies cleared. His hands, broad if scarred, told stories of endless battles with the sea, hauling nets heavy with promise but light with yield, mending ropes that frayed like his own fraying hopes. Eldridge Bay was a place where time moved in rhythms dictated by the ocean. The fishermen rose with the first blush of dawn, their boats slicing through the mist like ghosts chasing forgotten dreams. Elias had once been their leader, the one they called Storm Whisperer for his uncanny ability to predict the sea's moods. He could feel the shift in the currents before the wind even stirred, guiding his crew to bountiful hauls while others returned empty-handed. But that was before. 5 years ago, on a crisp autumn morning, his wife, Mara, had packed their lives into a single weathered trunk. Their daughter, Leela, just 9 then, clutched a doll Elias had carved from a piece of salvaged oak. "The sea takes more than it gives," Mara had said, her voice breaking like waves on the rocks. "I can't watch it take you, too." She left for the bustling city of Harbor Light, where factories hummed and streets glowed with electric promise. Elias stayed, bound to the water that had claimed his father and grandfather before him. He told himself it was duty, but deep down he knew it was fear of a world beyond the horizon that might swallow him whole. Now his days blurred into one another. He lived in a shack at the edge of the bay, its tin roof rattling in the wind like a perpetual lament. Mornings began with a ritual, a cup of bitter tea, a glance at the faded photograph of Leela on the mantel, and a whispered prayer to a god who seemed as distant as the stars. "If you're there, show me why I'm still here," he'd murmur. Then he'd trudge to the pier, where the other fishermen nodded curtly, their pity hidden behind gruff greetings. His catches grew smaller each season. Whispers spread. Elias has lost his touch. The seas curse on him. He ignored them, focusing on the pull of the oars, the salt spray stinging his skin. But inside, doubt festered like barnacles on a hull. The silent ache. One fateful afternoon, after a particularly barren haul, his net yielding only a handful of undersized crabs, Elias wandered to the rocky outcrop overlooking the harbor. The sun dipped low, painting the water in hues of molten gold and bruised purple. He sat on a boulder worn smooth by centuries of tides, pulling out his notebook. It was a relic from better days, its pages filled with fragments of thoughts, half-formed poems, and desperate pleas. Why do the waves remember every shipwreck but forget the sailors who survived? If I'm adrift, Lord, send a current to carry me home. Chosen? For what? To fade like foam on the shore? He wrote until his pencil dulled, then closed the book and let the wind carry his sighs. As dusk fell, he returned home, the shack's single room feeling cavernous in its emptiness. Sleep evaded him that night, his mind a whirlpool of regrets. Around 3 in the morning, when the world outside was a void of black, a strange calm settled over him. It wasn't peace exactly, more like a presence, insistent and warm, pressing against the chill of his solitude. No thunderous voice boomed from the heavens, no vision unfolded before his eyes, but the words formed in his mind clear as a bell tolling through fog. Chosen one, this is for you. God sent this. Watch immediately. Elias bolted upright, heart pounding. He scanned the dark room, half expecting a figure in the shadows. "Watch what?" he muttered, rubbing his temples. "Life unraveling?" Laughter bubbled up, harsh and hollow, but the feeling lingered, a quiet insistence that refused to be dismissed. It was as if a door long sealed had cracked open, letting in a sliver of light. The call to the light. Dawn broke with a usually clear next day. Elias arose, the echoing words in his thoughts. Instead of heading to the pier, his feet carried northward, past the clustered homes with their smoke curling from chimneys, past the market where vendors hawked yesterday's catch. He walked until he reached the old lighthouse on the cliff's edge, a sentinel forgotten by time. The structure loomed like a relic from a bygone era, its white paint peeled and flaking, the iron stairs inside rusted from salt air. It hadn't shone in over a decade, deemed obsolete by the town council. Ships have radar now, they'd said, no need for old flames. Elias had never climbed it before, but today, compelled by that inner voice, he gripped the railing and ascended. Each step creaked under his weight, the spiral winding tighter like the coils of his own turmoil. At the top, the lantern room offered a panoramic view, the town sprawled below like a patchwork quilt, boats bobbing like toys in the harbor, the endless sea stretching to infinity. Wind howled through cracks in the glass, carrying the cries of gulls. Elias leaned against the cold metal, breathing heavily. "What now?" he whispered. And then, as if in answer, his gaze dropped to the breakwater far below. A small skiff, painted a faded blue, had overturned in the choppy waters. 2 children, a boy and a girl, no older than 10, clung desperately to the hull, their cries faint but piercing. The current, swollen from recent rains, dragged them towards the razor-sharp rocks that guarded the bay's entrance. On the shore, chaos erupted. Fishermen shouted, scrambling for ropes and life preservers. A mother wailed, her hands clasped in prayer. But the tide was merciless, the distance too great. No boat could launch in time. No swimmer could battle the undertow. Elias's heart seized. Without a second thought, he thundered down the stairs, legs pumping with a vigor he thought long lost. He burst from the lighthouse door, sprinted across the uneven terrain, and plunged into the icy waves. The sea roared in defiance, waves crashing over him like liquid hammers. Salt burned his eyes, cold clawed at his limbs, but he swam, fiercer than he ever had. Reaching the children, he saw terror in their wide eyes. The boy gasped, slipping under. Elias grabbed him first, hoisting him onto his back. Then the girl, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Hold on!" he bellowed over the din. Kicking with everything he had, he fought the current inch by agonizing inch. His muscles screamed, visions of Mara and Leela flashing before him, fuel for one more stroke, one more breath. Miraculously, the fishermen on shore managed to throw a line just as Elias's strength waned. They hauled them in, Elias's grip unyielding until solid ground met his knees. He collapsed, heaving as the children were bundled into blankets. The mother enveloped him in a tear-soaked embrace. "You saved them," she sobbed. "God bless you." The town erupted in cheers. For the first time, Elias felt eyes on him not as a specter of failure, but as a hero reborn. The flame rekindled. That evening, as the sun set in a blaze of crimson, the elder of Eldridge Bay, old Harlan, knocked on Elias's door. He carried a lantern and a brass key, tarnished but gleaming in the firelight. "The council met," Harlan said, his voice gravelly with age. "We're relighting the lighthouse, and we want you as keeper." Elias blinked, stunned. "Me? I'm no beacon. I can barely keep my own light burning." Harlan's eyes twinkled. "Today, you lit a fire in all of us. That's the kind of man we need up there, watching, guiding." Reluctantly, Elias accepted. His first night in the tower was transformative. As he ignited the great lamp, its beams sliced through the night, a sword of light piercing the void. From that height, he saw Eldridge Bay anew, not as a prison, but a haven worth protecting. Word of his heroism spread like ripples in a pond. Fishermen sought his counsel, and Elias shared freely. The subtle signs of schooling fish, the warnings in cloud formations, the patience required to wait out storms. Catches improved, bellies filled, and laughter returned to the docks. But the true miracle came months later. One crisp morning, as Elias polished the lens, a familiar voice called from below. "Father?" Lila stood at the base of the tower, now 14, her eyes wide with wonder. Mara lingered behind, a tentative smile on her face. "We heard the stories, the man who saved the sea's children." They spent days reconnecting, walks along the shore, stories by the hearth. Mara confessed her regrets. Elias shared his awakening. "I thought God had turned away," he admitted one night, the lighthouse beams sweeping overhead. "But he was shaping me all along, for that moment, for this." The eternal watch. Years unfolded like sails catching wind. Elias became the heart of Eldridge Bay, his lighthouse a symbol of resilience. Storms came and went, but his light never faltered. Lila returned often, eventually settling nearby with a family of her own. The town prospered, drawing visitors who marveled at the guardian of the bay. In quiet moments, Elias revisited his notebook, adding new lines. "From the depths a call rises, not to drown, but to rise. Chosen one, watch, the dawn always follows the dark." If this tale has reached you now, in your own storm-tossed night, know it's no coincidence. God sent this for you. Expand your gaze, watch immediately. Your preparation is complete. Your light is ready to shine.